So today's topic, though, I want to talk about if you do decide to purchase a business, how can you structure the purchase price for that business? And in particular, how can you buy a business with very uh, small amount out of pocket, meaning you basically buy it using seller carryback financing, similar to what you can do with real estate, where you can go and approach a seller and negotiate with the seller that they actually become the lender on the real estate. You can do that the same with the business. So you go to the business, for example, that you're buying the assets from, and you say, okay, I will execute a purchase contract and I will pay you X amount of dollars, but the rest of the purchase price will be by seller carryback. So in order to evidence the seller carryback or the amounts that I'm going to owe, I'm going to execute a promissory note, deliver that to the company that's selling the assets, and then I'm going to allow the company to secure the repayment of that obligation by the assets being transferred. Basically, if I don't pay as the new owner of the business or new owner of the assets of the business, if I don't pay, then the seller, who is now the lender, can then come back in via that security agreement and basically take over the assets or take over the business and start operating the business. Or if it's tangible assets, they can take those tangible assets and they can sell those assets and apply the sales proceeds towards the amount of the debt. If you're going to purchase, because we talked about last week, the difference between buying assets and buying a membership interest. So let's say I go in and say, okay, I'm going to purchase the business as a going concern. I'm not going to just purchase assets of the business, but I want to basically step in and we're going to keep the EIN number. We're going to keep the checking account. We're going to keep, our contracts with vendors and clients in place. We're not going to change the names on anything. And I'm going to instead buy the actual ownership of the business. I'm going to buy the membership interest, or in the case of a corporation, I'm going to buy the stock of the corporation. I'm going to go in and do that. You can still do that on seller carryback. And so the way that would look is you would go in and purchase it. You would, the membership interest, you would execute a promissory note in favor of the prior owner. And then in order to secure the assets of the business, like you did in the asset purchase transaction, you would actually, or the seller would require, or should require, that the company execute a guarantee of that payment. And so the business, the LLC that is the going concern, it actually executes a guarantee saying, yeah, the company is going to pay. If the new owner doesn't fulfill its obligations to the old owner, the company will step in and fulfill those obligations on their behalf. And if we're not able to, if the company and the new owner is not able to, then there's a security agreement against the assets of that business, so that if there's a default, the prior owner, seller's now lender, can step in and basically take over the company, take over the assets, take over the company, operate the company, and basically use the company, hopefully that's still a going concern, for the purpose or benefit of making the loan payment. So just because it's a business, just because it involves tangible property as opposed to real property, doesn't mean that you can't do a seller carryback. You can do a seller carryback. In fact, that's a fairly common way to purchase assets of a business or to purchase ownership of a business, is by doing a seller carryback. And then the thought would be, well, if the business is a going concern, then I can use the income of the business to pay for my purchase of either the ownership of the business or the assets of the business. So something to think about if you're looking for other investment opportunities besides real estate. Hey, businesses are another way to invest and grow your assets. A lot of our investor clients who invest in real estate also invest in business, and they do quite well doing so.
Yeah, one thing that I would just add to all of that, if you're going to do any sort of seller carryback on a business, is if you're going to involve the SBA, which is commonly the case. So in that case, the SBA is going to have a first position lien on all the business assets, because you're bringing them in because they're coming in with a big chunk of the money. But oftentimes you'll see still a carryback after the fact of maybe 10% of the remaining purchase price, because there are limits on like SBA financing on how much you can do. So, if you can still carry back either portions of it beyond what the SBA might pay. The thing to note there is your rights and remedies as a secured creditor, in this case, second position to, just like we hear in real estate, first and second position, the same is true with personal property assets, like business assets. There's going to be an order of priority as to lien holders. But if you're behind an agency like the SBA, they vastly restrict your rights and remedies as a second position lien holder. Of course, that's because they don't want you, if they've got $5 million loan to loan on the business and you're owed 100,000 on a carryback, they don't want you to basically shut down the business entirely.